Dreams Academy for the TVET initiative. They have been so awesome. Please, we can encourage them. They have been very, very awesome. So let's start. Great photography is not about expensive cameras. It's about understanding how camera settings and light work together. Master these fundamentals and you can create stunning portraits, cinematic scenes, and powerful visual stories. I believe we all got that. So, the big idea, the big picture. So, imagine taking a photo that looks dull and flat, then adjusting just one camera setting and moving one light, and suddenly the image looks cinematic, professional, and captivating. Mm, Oh, oh, sorry. So, so in just one camera settings, I'm moving one light, and suddenly the image looks cinematic, professional, and captivating. So that alone brings up stunning portraits. How you control your light and depth to flatter any subject. Cinematic scenes using settings intentionally for dramatic impact. Professional product produce high quality product photos with precision. Visual stories, photography is painting with light. So when you're on set, you are ready to take a photo shoot. One of the ways you can achieve maximum success, be it in weddings, in or in portraits, is to be able to visualize what you want to create in your head, in your mind's eye. Have an idea of how the lighting would be, um, what settings you would use. Let's just say something like a default setting. So that then you take the shots. One of the ways photography, the creative aspect of photography is boundless, is endless because you your creative progress stops when you decide it to stop. Just like editing, there is no limit to editing a photo. You choose when to stop in your editing. That's the same way taking photos is. You choose when to you choose when to say, okay, I think I have achieved the result I desire. So always create the big idea in your head first, then you get to the setup. Thank you very much. Good evening to you once again. Mohammed Omar Bong. You're welcome to today's class. Mm, This is what you're expected to come out with. to learn. You should understand exposure control, background blur, lighting setup, posing mastery, avoid mistakes. Now, most of these things in our practical session, you would see how we achieve this. All right. So let's move over. All right. Chapter 1, camera fundamentals. Understanding your equipment is the foundation of good photography. Proper care, the right lens choice, and consistent setup routine ensures sharp, consistent results every time you shoot. Be it a Canon photographer, a Nikon photographer, a Sony photographer, a Sony user, a Nikon user, a Canon user. How does your camera work? What are the functions in your camera? How do you use them to achieve absolute with sharp, consistent results in your image, in your photo? It's one thing to say, you are, I use Canon. If you're being given a Canon camera, how can you use that Canon camera? How can you set it up to the best possible settings to get the best results for yourself and more importantly for your clients? So that's one of the things we're learning today. Now, basic care of the camera. Why does it matter? Why does it matter that we pay attention to our cameras? Proper camera care ensures longer equipment lifespan, consistent performance, and sharp image quality. Good maintenance prevents image quality problems. Now, I would explain this. A lot of us creatives do not know that after each use of the camera or before using your camera, you have to clean your sensor. Yes, there is a setting in the camera that actually does that, but then there's what they call microfabric cloth or microfiber cloth that you use to clean up your sensor and ensure that there is no speck of dust. Because when you take that photo without doing the necessary clean maintenance, the result of your non-maintenance will definitely show in your picture. So what are the best practices? Keep your lens clean using a microfiber cloth, which is what I just said. Avoid touching the lens glass directly. Yes, I will mention this. A whole lot of us creatives or photographers, we are fond of using our bare hands to touch the lens glass, and it will create a kind of a map or a stamp on the lens glass, of which when you're taking the shot, you would if you would see it in your picture, it is very clear in the picture. It doesn't hide. So please avoid touching lens glass directly. Also, store camera in dry environments. Very important. Avoid excessive heat and just exposure. Thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Anayochukwu Oliver Nekwe. Also, welcome, Drogba Danjo. You're welcome to today's class. Thank you very much. Okay. Use a protective bag and lens cap. All keep battery charged at all times. Thank you very much. So, types of lenses. Lens selection affects perspective and storytelling. Choose the right lens for your subject. So now I want to speak more on this. A whole lot of us creative has been made to understand that this 50 mm is the ultimate go-to lens for anything you want to shoot, be it portrait, be it product, be it landscape. It is true, but it is not. It is not entirely true. The 24 to 70, be it the f2.8 or be it the f4, which is, I believe we all know what f2.8 that means is f stop. Good. Is more like a lens we use for landscape, for weddings, for portraits, for every other events. There are wide angle. So now prime lenses are fixed focal length, sharp images, strong background blur, ideal for portraits. Now, what are prime lenses? They they are lenses that you don't zoom. The focal length is just fixed. The millimeter does not shift. So, which means that zoom lenses are adjustable focal lengths. They are flexible. Their composition is very flexible. When creating composition, you can be flexible with it. Um, Ideal for beginners. I bid to disagree on that, because even the top professionals in the world today still make use of 24 to 70. The best photographers in the world today, I wouldn't use the word the best photographers, the great photographers that we respect today still make use of the 24 to 70. The best wedding photographers right now in Nigeria and in world at large, in their arsenal, in their lens arsenal, you will surely see a 24 to 70 f2.8 lens there. So it's not really a lens just for beginners. It's not. It's a workhorse lens that cuts across all genres of photography. That's it. So wide angle lens captures a wider scene, ideal for landscape and architecture. So I also would add, not just ideal for landscape, it is also um, ideal for portraits. What with a portrait that you want to also tell the environmental story as well in that very portrait. So that's it. So there's telephoto lens, captures distant subjects, ideal for wildlife and sports. I would also add portraits into this very context, because lenses like 70 to 200 millimeter f2.8 are textbook for absolute good portrait work. In fact, if I'm to say, in my years of experience, I would want to say that the 70 to 200 millimeter lens is by far the best lens for top portrait work, be it beauty photography, fashion photography, headshots. The 70 to 200 millimeter f2.8 is 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 the standard for good portrait work. So it's not just for wildlife. When you're talking about wildlife, you're talking about 400 millimeter. You're talking about 600, 800. Those are what we call super telephoto lenses. So we have the macro lens, which captures small objects in fine details, ideal for product photography. Yes, that is true. So we move on. Now set up the camera. I don't know if we are really following the slide. You will see the sequence: battery, from inserting the battery to inserting the memory card, attaching the lens, power on, select mode. However, my sequence: attach the lens, that's without the battery, insert the memory card, insert the battery, power on, then select mode. So that when you're booting, everything boots together. Sorry, always confirm the camera is fully ready before shooting. Yes, when you switch on your camera, please, you don't just dive into settings immediately. At least a minute is a minute or 30 seconds is enough to allow the camera to start fully before diving into the shoot. Thank you. So, chapter 2, exposure and camera controls. Exposure is the foundation of every photograph. Mastering the three controls, that's the three exposure triangles, aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, gives you complete creative command over brightness, motion, and depth. So you can see that some of the things we learned in our previous class is repeating itself here and now. So camera work setup workflow, you can see choose your camera mode. As I advised previously, always shoot on manual mode. You get creative more. Set your aperture, set your shutter, um, adjust your ISO, set your white balance, focus and test shoot, adjust and refine, position lighting and capturing. Yes, you keep shooting, you keep making adjustments both to your ISO, to your shutter, to your aperture. You keep making adjustments to your white balance and see the result until you achieve the results you need. That is what it means to adjust and refine. You know, after you must have gotten the necessary things you need on this based on the camera setting, you now go into the lighting, the light positioning of the lighting and all. Then you now capture your main work. So, camera modes explained. Remember last class, I talked about all the camera modes, which is a manual mode, shutter priority, aperture priority, program mode. So, manual mode is what? Manual mode gives you full control of aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. It is best for professionals, studio, and filmmaking work. The shutter priority. You control the shutter speed, the camera controls the aperture. It is best for sports and moving objects. I agree. I agree. That means what it means is that the camera automatically controls based on design, controls the aperture, you understand, while you manually control the shutter based on the shutter speed priority. Now, when you go to the aperture priority, the reverse is the case. The the camera controls the shutter while the photographer controls the what do they call it? The the aperture. So the program mode, camera controls most of the setting, but at the end you get less creative with it, you know. So moving on, aperture, the depth of field control. This is beautiful. So what's aperture control? What's the equation for aperture for depth of field? Now over here, they say that depth of field is symmetrical to 1 over aperture, which is 1 of a second. 1 of a second. So the aperture, what aperture controls? It controls the amount of light entering the lens, which is what we talked about. It controls background blur, that is bokeh. You see those kind of speckles, so those kind of circle things on the background that are so beautiful, especially when you're shooting things like night photography. How much of the image appears sharp? Yes. So portrait photography commonly uses f1.8 to f4. But however, there are lenses that goes beyond f.8, that goes down to 1.2, which is super depth of field. So the aperture reference f1.8, strong background blur. If I would add the f1.2, super strong background blur. More details on the subject. f2.8, cinematic look. f4, moderate blur. f8, sharp image. Now this is for me personally, this is my go-to f-stop when I'm shooting portraits, most especially when I'm shooting beauty. I shoot at f8 or I shoot at f11. Sometimes I can be crazy to go to f16, depending on my light ratio. Depending on my light ratio, I can shoot f16. So arguably my sweet spot for my f-stop is f8. So take note of that. Shutter speed stroke motion control. So exposure to shutter time. Fast shutter freezes action. Slow shutter creates blur. Recommended handheld minimum one one 100 of a second. Um, I beg to disagree to this because someone like me that it took a lot of time, a long time before I could develop steady arms. So so at that time I was shooting 1/200 of a second. That's what I was shooting for my shutter. 1/200 of a second. No matter what it is, that's what I was shooting for my portrait because I didn't really have steady arms like that. So I prefer, but when I'm shooting on a tripod, I do 1/60 of a second. Then I can play around with my aperture as like f5 or f4, f5 or f4, especially when I'm shooting things like wedding. I shot a pre-wedding yesterday. And basically my settings was 1/60 of a second in my shutter. Then I shot um an f-stop of 2. I did f2 all through because the lens f-stop it stops at 1.7. I was using a crop sensor lens on a full frame body. A crop sensor lens of 35 mm, which is equivalent to 50 mm on a full frame scale. So that was what I was using to shoot. That was what I was using to shoot. I was very intentional about it because the lens has a texture that I love so much. So I used it for that shoot. So let's get back. 1/10 or 1,000 of a second is spot. 500 1/500 for working person. F two 200 sharp handheld, which is what I said, and 1/60 indoor photo. Please, can we unmute? Can we unmute whoever that mute? Can we mute, please? Can we mute, please? Can we mute, please? Can we mute, please? The class is on. Thank you. So we go to the ISO brightness sensitivity. Now the rule: image brightness. Uses the lowest ISO possible. Low ISO, clean image. High ISO, brighter but grainy. Now, as I said in my previous class, it all depends on what you want to create. There are cameras that even at 160 or at 160 of ISO setting, you will still get very clean image without grain. If the grain will be very, very subtle, like very, very subtle, very subtle. So how it all depends on what you want to shoot. Cameras that have low megapixel, for instance, 24 megapixel, have the tendency to give more cleaner images when shooting ISO 160, 1600 or 2000 of ISO. But cameras that tend to have very high megapixel, especially on the full frame scale, when you're shooting at very high ISOs, you begin to see it, the grains there. Thank you. So common exposure problems. Underexposed means too dark, causes low ISO, fast shutter speed, or small aperture, high f-stop number. So the solution is increase ISO, slower shutter, or widen aperture to fix. Overexposed means too bright, causes high ISO, slow shutter speed, or wide aperture. To fix it, decrease ISO, speed up shutter, or narrow aperture fix. Thank you. So white balance and focus. White balance corrects color tone. Incorrect white balance corrects color tone. Incorrect white balance causes yellow, blue, or unnatural skin tones. Common settings: daylight, cloudy, tungsten, fluorescent, auto white balance. Shooting raw helps correct later. Aside the normal common settings, there's also what they call Kelvin, where you can adjust the temperature, the color temperature yourself to the required Kelvin that you need. Cameras like Nikon tend to shoot between 5,000 to 5,600 Kelvin. That's their sweet spot. Cameras like Sony tend to work better with 4,000 to 5,000 or 5,000 Kelvin, depending. You can go higher a bit. Then Canon tend to work better with from that 5,006 to 6,000 and above. So that's my own understanding. I speak for myself on that. Focus mode, the single AF, which is used for portrait and still, continuous AF, which is used for sports and moving object, manual focus, macro and product, you tend to have more control. You tend to have more control. Okay. Portrait tips, always focus on the nearest eye. Now, I will say something on that. When shooting portraits, if you can't focus on the eye, focus on something nearest to the eye, maybe on the nose bridge. That will give a clear skin details, especially when you're shooting skin, facial skin. That will give a clear skin detail. So you can see bokeh and background blur. Bokeh describes the aesthetic quality of background blur. It creates a cinematic professional appearance that separates the subject from the background. I said this before. You can see the settings that are in the aperture that you can use to achieve good bokeh. So when it comes to to achieve the based on subject, you put your subject kind of 10 meters away from the background. Your subject stands 10 meters away from the background. That creates a very good bokeh. So now this is where lenses like 70 to 200 comes into, like, gives you the most amazing results. When you're now shooting f2.8, the results will just wow you. So moving on, composition and framing. Composition is the art of arranging elements within the frame. Strong composition guides the viewer's eye, creates balance, and amplifies the story you're telling. So now there are different composition principles. There is what they call the rule of third. Now, I always say this: the rule of third will always work for you. Will always work for you if you understand how it works. So, what is the rule of third? Divide the frame into three equal. Place the subject along grid lines for balance from the grid line. The squares or the rectangles are even. Now look at where each of these intersects, and you will see you have a perfect composed picture. You have leading lines, most especially when you're shooting what do they call it, landscape, rail tracks, wells, eggs guiding viewers' attention and create visual flow through the image. Camera angles. Now, another composition principle that was failed to add here is um, inverse square law. Inverse square law. Now, the inverse square law of composition is not a theoretical explanation. It's something that we do in our practical class if there is time. Symmetrical nodes. That is what it has to deal with. That's for inverse square law. So camera angles, high level, high level equals neutral, low angles equals subject appears powerful, high angle subject appears smaller, angles shape storytelling mood. Note that if you're shooting from high level, from a high level, maybe you're taller than the subject appears this thing. If you're shooting from the ground up, the subject, is small, tall. I'm looking absolutely powerful, as it has said. Background control. Simple backgrounds improve focus on the subject. Use blur and distance to create distractions. Very important. Now, chapter 4. Understanding light in photography. Bad lighting produces poor images, even with expensive cameras. Lighting determines mood, depth, clarity, emotion, and professional quality. Lighting is photography. As we said yesterday, photography is painting of light. Understanding how light works will make you a great expert in photography. So, you can use light to create mood. You can use light to create depth. You can express your emotions through lighting, be it through angle or through the light ratios, So there's a whole lot in lighting. So lighting characteristics, there's light intensity, there's soft light, there's hard light, there's direction of light. When it comes to soft light and hard light, I would I would tag it to be types of lighting. I will bring it under types of lighting because there is soft light, there is hard light, there is reflective light, there is transmitter lighting. I think I got the word right. So that is it. So direction of light, where light comes from determines where shadow falls, shaping the subject future, that it shapes the subject's future and depth. Now, for someone like me, I embrace shadows. I shoot shadows a lot in my work. If there is time, I could share some of my works with you. I shoot a lot of shadows. I love shadows in my work a lot. So the intensity of the light source, stronger light creates more contrast. Weaker light is more even. So soft light is smooth, gradual shadows, portrait friendly, and flattering, produced by softboxes, diffusers, and window lights. Strong, defined shadows, that's for hard light. Strong, defined shadows create dramatic, high contrast look produced by direct flash or bare bulbs. 3-point lighting setup. Please, if you have your questions, please don't hesitate to fill me in and I will answer them as it comes. Thank you. The key light, which is the main light source positioned at 45 degrees to the subject, provides primary illumination. For this, I can um, based on practice, this 45 degrees doesn't really count for me. I can put my key light at any angle, at any angle. So it all depends on what I want to achieve. There is a few light. Few light reduces shadows created by the key light softer and less intense than the key. Backlight separates the subject from the background, creates a professional cinematic rim glow. Together, these three lights creates a professional cinematic result used in studio worldwide. Now, I want to say this. If you have if you have if you can't afford three lights and all you could afford was just one light, you can use one light and use other things to create your feel and to create your feel lights, and you get your work done. And you get your work done. What matters is what you see. For many years, I shot with just one light. My greater point of my career, I shot with just one light, and that was an AD 600. AD 600. It wasn't even a Pro, it was a BM. Just one light. That is what I shot with. Then um a kind of a white board that I used and that I created like a V that I constructed to serve as my V flat. That was what I used. So it's when I shoot when I position my key light, the light bounces and splash and bounces on the board. It now creates a sort of a feel on the body. So, you know, it all depends on how do you want to tackle that image and get the results you need. So someone asked me a question. You say my voice is a bit skipping. I'll think it's the network. I'll try to this thing. Okay, yes. You said something about someone asked why do I like shooting shadows? Um, I don't know. See if I can get let me digress a little bit. Let me see if I could lift lift some of lift some of my pictures. Let me see if I could lift some of my work. Hold on a second. Let me see if I could get let me see if I could lift some of my work. Um Now something like the okay, someone asked a question. Must the setup be three lights always? No, please. No, please. The setup, the setup must not always be a three light setup. It can be more than three, it can be four, five, six, seven. My mentor shoots seven lights, he shoots eight lights. What do you want to achieve? Now, okay, let me see if I could share this particular photo. Let me see if I could share this particular photo. Um, Okay. Now, I don't know if you see this picture. I don't know if we all see this picture. I don't know if we all see this picture. Now, hello, can we see the picture? If you can see the picture, please indicate by giving me your reactions. Okay, if you can see. Okay, yes, I know. Yes, it's part. Yeah, yes, I kind of. It's but if you can. Okay, let me look for. Let me look for. Can we see this? Mm, so I don't know if we can see this. I just want to cite an example. I want to cite a very strong example on what I want to explain of a one of me shooting of me shooting one light setup in one light setup work. Now, this picture here is in one light setup. I just I did what they call feathering. I feathered my key light in a sort of a right angle way. It wasn't at 45, it was at right angle but feathered in a way. Then had a few lights that looked like like a white board on the side, also feathered too. Um, don't bother about the background. I kind of did a little bit of manipulation there, but I'm more focused on the picture. So what I did was I shot my settings was a little bit on a low side. I think I shot at 100. I shot at 100 of a second on my ISO. Then I shot 200. I shot 200. Then I shot f8. Then on my light settings, I increased the light there. It was the light that I used to control either my dark exposure or my my underexposure or overexposure. So that was what I used in that particular picture. So let's get back to I'm just trying to show you that there is so much you can achieve with just a one light setup. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be um 3 lights. I shot one, as I said, I did a one light setup for a greater part of my photography career. Yes, I used reflectors. My headshots, were just more of was one light and a reflector, a silver reflector under. That was what I used for a greater part of my career. So you must not be tied to the space that it is just one three lightings. But if you can handle 3 lightings, beautiful. But please, I will plead, start with one. Start with one first. See what you can achieve with one before moving to two and before moving to three. So let's move on. I believe that is settled. Now, this is beautiful. Now, if you look at this image, you can see that this image was shot close to a window. I don't know if we can see it. If we are looking at the slide, please, if you can see the image on the slide, indicates. Thank you. Are we all here? Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Igwe Esther, thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. I really love this. Now, if you look at the image, you can see that the image was shot close to a window. Now, where do you possibly think the photographer stayed to take the shot? The shot. Now, probably he was using a key light. His key light may have been from the top. That is, if there was anything that had to do with light. Or or the photographer was taking light from, was using a natural light, the natural light that was hitting the window. Then if you look at the shadows, if you look at the other the right side of the subject's face, you can see that's kind of you can see the small shadow by the neck. You will be able to understand that there is maybe a little, there was no kind of field light coming from the other side of the other side. It was just purely from the window. If you look at it very well, based on the neck and by the side cheek, you would see the shadow right there. You will see the shadow right there, and you will notice that there is literally no field light coming from the other end. All was taken with a natural light, which which created this kind of glowy this thing. So from what the word said, he said one light setup to natural light. Place the subject near the window. Use a large window as your key light source. Turn subject 45 to the light. Angle creates depth and definition on the face. Use a reflector opposite the window. It bounces the light back to fill shadows naturally. This simple setup produces a soft, professional look accessible to any photographer. For me, in my own opinion, this is the best form of photography for me. I love to shoot natural light. I am very creative with natural lights a lot, especially when I'm inside a space and there is enough and in that room there is a very large window where I can shoot. Thank you very much. So please, These images, study them, please. I need to study them a lot and see how how certain things were achieved. Thank you. So portrait lighting patterns is what they call the loop lighting. That's natural everyday look. Small shadow of the nose loop. Small shadow of nose loops down towards the corner of the mouth. How always take a look at the catch. There's what they call catch light. Is a small it comes like a small speck of light on the pupil. So that small speck of light on the pupil is what they call catch light. So when you look at the catch light on the pupil, you can be able to deduce where the key light is positioned from. So Rembrandt lighting, that's cinematic, dramatic look, small triangle of light on the shadow side of the face. Butterfly light. Now, this butterfly light I shot butterfly lighting for 5 years. That was what I used to shoot beauty. That was what I used to shoot head. That was what I used to do headshots. Butterfly lighting is when the light is above the subject, and it's kind of how will I explain it? Placed in a kind of a butterfly position. All these things will be explained in practical terms when we have our practical sessions. We'll get to see them. Split lighting, dramatic, bold look, light placed directly to the side, illuminating exactly half the face. Now, it is with split lighting that if there was no window light in the previous picture that we saw, that was when the theory of split lighting that really been applied to create this dramatic look that you're seeing right now. And all these pictures are natural pictures. So light position guide, front, front, creates flat even look, side, all these things would all be explained in our practical classes, but just please take note of all of them. Take note of all of them. Thank you. So you can see the lighting equipment. There's softbox and ring light, produces soft diffuse light, essential for portrait and beauty photography. Umbrella and reflector, bounces, diffuse light, affordable and portable for location shoots. There's LED panels, versatile continuous light source, adjustable brightness and color temperature. Now I shoot weddings with LED. I shoot my weddings with LED lights. That's what I use all through. Speed light stroke flash. As when I started off photography, that was what I started using first before I began to learn other sources of light. Using light creatively. Bright light, energetic, uplifting mood. Low light, dramatic, moody atmosphere. Backlight creates a cinematic glow effect. Side lighting, mystery and depth. Lighting direction shapes facial features and enhances storytelling. Every lighting choice communicates an emotion. Please take note of this. Every lighting choice communicates an emotion. It's very, very important. So, practical shooting workflow. You find a location, be it indoor and outdoor. You select your subject. Make sure that your subject is well groomed. If you are going to pick a model, please pick a good model. If possible, pick a professional model that you will pay, to execute your shoots. So, exposure, which is your settings in your camera, then your lighting. The slide forgot to add environmental peak points. You understand? Which is necessary, which is very, very necessary. So following this workflow consistently produces professional results and reduces errors during a live shot. So common photography mistakes to avoid. Very high ISO produces grainy, noisy images. Always use the lowest ISO possible. Okay. Wrong white balance causes unnatural skin tone. Set white balance to match your light source. Beautiful. Very, very important. Always check what, when you're shooting with LED, for instance, the LED has a setting that is calibrated to at Kelvin mode. You must always ensure that that setting matches your skin tone, the skin tone of your subject. Likewise, your camera. Subject too close to the background reduces background blur. Overhead lighting only creates unflattering shadows under eyes and nose. Adds a few, add a few light, add a few lights or reflector. Slow shutter handheld causes camera shake blur. Stay above 100 of a second when shooting handheld. Please stay above 100 of a second if you know you have shaky hands. Thank you. So all these ones are practical sessions that we would execute in our practical classes. Posing a subject in photography. A great pose can make an ordinary person look confident, elegant, powerful, or cinematic. A poor pose can make even a beautiful subject look awkward. Yes. What is posing? The posing is the intentional positioning of the head, shoulders, and arms. Shoulders, arms, legs, hands, eyes, and body angle to create a visually pleasing and meaningful image. Image. What good posing achieves creates visual shape and depth, reduces awkwardness, improves subject confidence, communicates personality and emotion, enhances storytelling impact. So posing essence is absolutely essential. That is why it is good. Posing is a different cost on its own. Posing is a different cost on its own. So core principles: create shape, flat, straight poses look stiff, angles create visual interest and depth. Instead of standing straight like a passport photo, turn your body, all these things. These are all practical things, but please get hold of this slides so that you can see. You turn your body slightly angled away from camera. You bend one arm, creates a triangle shape. You shift your weight to one leg for natural curve, tilt your head. All these things have the way it creates absolutely amazing images for you. The layer method of posing. Professional photographers build a pose step by step, adjusting one element at a time to avoid overwhelming the subject. Like me, I build my poses from the ground up. I set what they call mood boards for my work. And in those mood boards, there is posing in it. There is posing. I create it so that I will not, and not only will I achieve something tangible with my subject, I will not overstretch the subject, but I will stretch the subject to achieve the results that I need. So take note of this. The body position basics. Turn body 30 to 45 degrees away from camera. Shift weight to one leg. These are basic stuffs. Relax shoulders. Turn face back towards camera. Benefits: slimmer appearance, more dynamic pose. There are poses that when you strike, it makes the person look fat. That's why sometimes you see someone you say, "Why am I looking fat? Why am I looking fat in the picture?" But the person is not fat, but that's because of the pose he or she struck. Most especially the she's. Head, chin, and eye direction. Now, this is something I would want to explain. You see this eye direction part. When the white section of the eye is too much in the picture, it cancels out. It makes the picture look, what do I call it, stiff. So at camera, confidence slightly away, natural slightly away equals natural, looking down equals thoughtful, looking up equals hopeful. Eye communicates the story. The eye tells the story of every picture. Chin forward, chin down, all over. Then, if the eye is not positioned properly, the picture is if like I said, the talk say the picture don't they blur. So all these things will be done at our practical session. Hands and arm positioning. Avoid pressing hands slightly to the body. Avoid hiding hands completely. Avoid stiff or positioning fingers. Hands should look relaxed and purposeful. Beautiful. Give hands a purpose. Hold jackets. Touch chin slightly. Thumb in the pockets. Touch hair. Rest on chair or cross arms softly. All these things have the way they affect your pictures, and it can be positive, it can be negative. The way you Now I will say this: the way you pose men is different from the way you pose women, and different from the way you pose children. As a matter of fact, posing children is like by far the most difficult aspect. Like when it comes to children photography, I charge extremely high for it, because when you're taking pictures of children like from the age from 1 year old, it's a crazy situation. You you tell them to do one thing, they are doing 15 things at a time. But it's not them. A man is posed differently. Posing men emphasizes strong posture, defined jawline, and confident stance. Shoulders slightly broad, chin neutral, hands in the pocket creates confident appearance. Posing women emphasizes curves, neck length, and soft angles. Weight on one hip, slight head tilts, soft hand placement, body angled, creates elegant appearance. So all these things are practical sections that we will explore. Good poses for posing couples and groups. You can see how the hands are relaxed, holding hands, standing close to each other, close close together, forehead touch, walking together, one person slightly behind the other. These are poses are that tend to create lusciousness in your images. So take note of them. Environmental and triangle posing. All these things we would experience during our little practical sessions. So let's all take notes. Let's all get ready. So common posing mistakes: stiff posture and flat shoulders. That's square shoulders facing cameras look unnatural. Always angle the body. That's the solution. Awkward hands. Hands press tightly to body or hidden completely. Looks tensed. Then solution: give hands a purpose. Um, Forced smile or slouching. Now, this is another thing. A client comes to your studio and he or she is angry. There is nothing you will do at that point in time to get the best out of that person. For me, we have to, my policy, we have to rebook. We have to rebook another date, and it will cost extra. It will cost extra money. Yes, because you cannot come to set and you're squeezing, you're squeezing your face. Then I now have to ask you to be begging you to smile. It's not done. It's not done. So forced expression reduces authenticity. Direct the subject to relax and breathe. Symmetrical pose. Perfectly symmetrical poses look static. Introduce angles and as and asymmetry. Very important. Chin pulled backward. Create unflattering double chin. Always move chin slightly forward. So you can see the posing workflow. Please, let's take note of that. Build the pose step by step. Please, I will say this. Have your mood board. Always create mood boards for your poses. When a client books you for a shoot, please create a mood board for her, for his or her photo shoot. Always advise your clients to book you a month ahead to their photo shoot. This gives you an opportunity to sit down and draft something that you know you would want to create for the client that will wow the client. Please advise it. And I even put it up on my WhatsApp status. I tell my clients, please book me a month ahead to your birthday shoot so that I can come up with a mood board that best suits what you want to achieve. So, key takeaways: aperture controls depth of field and background blur, shutter speed controls motion, freeze or blur, ISO controls brightness, use lowest possible, lighting direction, shape smooth, depth and motion, posing creates shape, communicates emotion, and enhances storytelling. Photography is about intentional control of light. Yes, you must be intentional about everything you are doing on camera. Nothing should be out of place. Small adjustments in camera settings, lighting position, and subject posing produces professional results. So with this, we've come to the end of this class. I can now take questions. We can now take questions. Thank you so much, Narissa Food Ibrahim. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I can take questions. Thank you so much, Ukwan and former Pauline. I appreciate. I appreciate. Thank you. Thank you. Um, Let me. Okay. I think I will do something. Let me keep us and let me play something that would you say okay, someone asked a question. Ahmed, what is the exposure triangle steering points for studio lighting? Okay. Um there's no really a particular steering point. As I said, it all depends on your light ratio, the mood you want to achieve in your picture. It matters a lot. Take for instance, a client comes and asks you and tells you you have a kind of a consultation session. Please, I have one more thing. Always book a consultation sessions with your clients. In so doing, the client has an opportunity, has a room to relay to you what he or she has in mind for herself. Then, in then as you listen to her, you can be able to see what you can also come up to fine-tune her own creative progress, then thereby coming to an agreement on one thing. And always make sure you have your book, your pen and diary. You are jotting down what he or she is trying to say. Create a consultation session. So for instance, the client says, I want something misty, cinematic, and dreamy. That means she wants something of a low light. She wants a low light shoot. Then how do you create it? How do you set up your lighting? How many lights are involved? You know, so these are things that come into play, you know, in your shoot. So I believe I've been able to answer that. You said okay, thank you. What's your take on mobile phone for cinematography? Okay. Um, the industry has evolved. Industry has evolved so much now. We have content creators, and basically, their go-to equipment for content creation is their phone, most especially the iPhone. As a matter of fact, I purchased an iPhone 15 yesterday. I purchased it now. One will say, why not the iPhone 17? I choose the iPhone 15 specifically for one reason. No, two reasons actually. iPhone 15 has a more durable standpoint, and it has the best. It has some of the best image stability. Its image stability is kind of better than the 16 and the iPhone 16, especially the Pro and the Pro Max. That's for me, in my own view. So, and what do I want to do with it? Just simple behind the scene video shots. But for my content creation, I use my camera for my content creation. So, using iPhones have been built to shoot short clips. You understand? With the right tools like gears and all those things, lens and filters and all, you can achieve so much with it. Expand your world. Just don't be restricted. The only thing is there is some cameras, digital cameras have with good digital lenses have they give you a better creative creative amazement. Let me put it that way. You can expand your world with it. That's just what I would say to that. Now, someone said, mm, please, how can you use rule of third to capture a mobile listing? Okay, now if you open your phone if you open your camera icon, you would see, go to the settings, you would see grid. One of in the settings of your camera, check for grid there, grid lines. Click it and the grid line would come up, By so doing, angle your shots based on the rule of third equation, and it will always work for you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. Can you please describe layered posing in group photography? And why is linear arrangement not ideal in group photography? Okay, linear arrangement. Um, I think in this you can't, because you can't really use linear arrangement because not all of them are of the same size. Not all of them are of the same size. So what you do is you work with the end point of the group shots. Whatever you're doing at the other end should match whatever you do at the other end. That is, from there you can be able to get every other people in at the middle, especially when you're posing for group shots on a wedding day. I believe that is where you're coming from, sir. So I don't know if I've been able to answer that. Okay, someone asked what I mean by shooting shadows. What I'm saying is that I like to shoot high key lights. I like to What I mean by shooting shadows is I like to shoot high key lighting. That's what I mean. Okay, someone asked, apart from iPhone, which other phone product is good for phone shooting? Um, the reasons why iPhone seems to be the go-to camera. Samsung is good, don't get me wrong. Oh, Samsung is very good. However, iPhone has what they call a natural color solution. Like when you're shooting with an iPhone, it's almost as if you are, it's giving you, what is on you is giving you the same color texture, you know. The same thing is like what you order versus what you is equal to what you get. That's just what I mean. iPhone has this lusciousness you get. It's You can work with an iPhone clip. You can upgrade an iPhone clip, but for me, when you're shooting with a Samsung, it's too enhanced. It's just too enhanced for me. That is why I don't really like working with Samsung. So I'll try and I want to get us something. I want to play something from I want to play something from from one of one of my men from my teacher, person that I learned photography from. So I'm going to I'm going to share it right now. I hope we pay attention to it. Hold on. Please. So just hold on a second. Sorry, there is a video I want to share. There's a video I want to share for you guys so that you can watch. Um, One thing I love to do is I love to share some of my some of the tips that have always helped me, some of my mentors that have taught me, that have helped me along the way in my career as a photographer. So one of them is my man I love and respect so much. So much. His name is Kelechi Amadiobi. Okay. So the video is up now. Please, let's all watch. So watch his creative process. Watch his creative process. Now, you can see his key lights. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you all can hear me. Please listen to this man and see how he. Okay. No, yeah, can you hear the video? Is the video sound playing? Is the video sound playing? Now, I was asking if the video sound is playing. Can you hear it from there? Look at all these types of contrast. First and foremost, we are trying to do a shoot that involves for let's take photos that's deep playing out now. So we decided to make images so tell the story of our journey in life. So the theme of the shoot was, travel.
So we said, okay, I mean, she's been around for a while. Can we go retro? So we said, train travel, 1 and 2, even car travel, but retro, like going back to the 50s. So there was a location with an old steam train and there was some old car. So we wanted to use travel as a metaphor, for her journey in life. So the first thing that we need to consider when we're making an image is a balance between contrast and harmony. Contrast is when things are different from each other. Harmony is when things are similar. So the harmony sort of brings your picture together, harmonizes it, keeps it together. The contrast then is the high point is what makes you see something. It is the thing that is in contrast that then attracts attention. The things that are in harmony are beautiful in terms of the way they come together and they blend together. So it's like listening to music, the background beat, the it is the voice of the singer, the crescendo that will take contrast with that calm sound, the rhythm that keeps your music together. For visual arts, for photography, I'm looking at contrast of color, contrast of shape, contrast of light and dark. That is shade. Now let us look at all these types of contrast. First and foremost, we are trying to do a shoot that involves a major character. It's actually a portrait session. You have a focal point. A focal point is the subject of the shoot, the individual.
I just told them now.
But we're not just shooting her head, we're shooting her within a space to create a context. Therefore, that is what then gives us the story. So it is putting
Okay, I guess some of you can't hear what is happening in the video background. So what will happen is that the video will be shared in the group, so you all can go watch it and listen to it and make out something, be inspired by it. As I said, that he is one of the men I respect and love so much, and he is my teacher. He's my teacher, and I have, I have walked down this road as a photographer with a lot of his teachings. So I will share some of it with you so that we can take it up from there. Thank you so much, and God bless. Mm-hmm.